How is everyone doing today? Welcome to another episode of Mastermind Academy. First off, welcome back. Sorry we had to skip a little day there. It's been a while, 2 days, but I think we're good to go. First off, sound check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me loud? Can you hear me clear? I don't have an easy way of seeing chat either, so maybe this will work. I have a laptop pulled up. My setup is moved all around because of all my problems, but can I be heard? Hopefully I can. What's up, rollers? Welcome. Hello to you as well. So I'm gonna wait for that. I'm gonna wait for the confirmation that I can be heard first, because I don't actually have enough monitors today to do the full I guess monitoring of the stream as I normally would, but I will have it back set up pretty soon. So let me move this. Let me get this going over here. So welcome to Pipelines. We are going to be diving back into our infrastructure as code stuff. No slides. We are basically going to be in the implementation phase of what we started last time. But yeah, so everyone who did know, the reason why we didn't stream yesterday for Decoded was because first off, I'm actually pretty glad I woke up actually, I'm not glad I woke up in the morning and saw this. So usually I go into the office, I work out of the office with my laptop during the day, and then I come home and I stream. But yesterday I had to work from here and actually just check my computer in the morning. I was gonna hop on and answer some emails, and when I pressed the button, nothing happened. And when I say nothing, absolutely nothing. Completely blank case, no indication that I was getting any power. Really odd. I checked the outlet, I checked the circuit breaker. I was like, I just swapped out the PSU on this computer because it was already giving me some issues. Everything should have been fine. The build is less than a year old, so I didn't really expect any failing parts yet, but I tried a lot of different things and it did not work. But what it did end up being, I actually went out and bought another power supply to test with, because I didn't have an extra one here. Again, obviously that wasn't the case. It ended up being the CMOS battery, the CMOS battery, little battery that manages, it saves the memory on the BIOS. So make sure your BIOS is good. And I did a little reset and everything, thinking hopefully it would reset. It's weird that if the battery's dead, it's weird that it's dead. I did swap it out and it did work. That did work. And then I found on some forums, there's a bug with the BIOS, an older version of the BIOS. I've updated to the latest BIOS, but also I've enabled some feature called ERP or something to where nothing can take power while the power's off. So I have a lot of peripherals on my desktop, and apparently USB and stuff could still work in the way, with the setting off, but now it's on and I'm good to go. But yeah, I ripped my whole setup apart. I have pictures of the room that I'll put on Twitter. I ripped my whole setup apart. That's why I'm one monitor down. I was going to simplify my setup. I tried to get my laptop going with this yesterday, and it actually kept having problems as well. So wasn't a good, basically lost a day at work, but it's all good. We are back, and that's all that matters. What's up, 88 Opus? Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you for 13 months, 10-month streak. Phenomenal. That's amazing. You are amazing. So tonight we'll get straight into it. And yeah, we're just going to we are flowing with this, and we're going to be building this thing out. So everyone who's new, again, we are simply doing we are in the mindset that we are working at a company called Pipelines. We make an application called Conduit, which is a competitor to Medium, and it's a site that you can submit articles and things on. And we have been, as the sole infrastructure engineer, or the person who manages this infrastructure, we have been tasked with taking this on-prem, hand thrown together server and getting it into a more consistent, reliable process. And that's what we're doing. So we started the process of codifying the infrastructure last time. We've already converted it from a monolithic repo. It was already kind of broken up into microservices, but we converted it from a monolithic repo into a poly repo setup. So kind of more the true microservices, as some people like to say. Very debatable, but and now we begin the process of just kind of getting a repository set up for the actual infrastructure of this, and yeah, and then we're gonna build that out. But yes, this is in fact the halfway mark. So we, you know, even though it's halfway, that was pretty quick actually. We still do have a lot left to learn, and so again, as we're going through tonight, we're keeping that in mind of that, like, hey, we're slowly building on top of the things that we've learned. So you will also see, because my setup, you know, I had to rush to get my setup back together tonight, at least we are back in Windows. We are back in Windows for now. And I've learned some cool things about the Windows terminal that's very interesting. I was getting a little frustrated with it because I didn't know about it. It has split screen and all that other stuff. So I think you can do an Alt Shift like minus and split it that way, and an Alt Shift plus will split it this way, so you have a very tmuxy type of splitting operation, which is phenomenal. Really is going to help me out, except I never remember how to get out of this. I have no idea. Controls, the keyboard bindings are weird. I can change the keyboard bindings, but I just learned about it. So you know, just trying to get my Windows workflow back, but we're gonna be working out of Windows today anyway, so that'll be cool. And other than that, yeah, let's get going. So are we going to use Boundary? We are not going, I mean, no. I do want to check out Boundary. So for everyone who doesn't know, HashiConf is going on right now. I think tomorrow's the last day, or maybe today was the last day. I'm not really sure. But HashiConf is the HashiCorp conference of the year. It's always super exciting. They release a lot of new stuff. I only got to see part of their keynote today. I haven't got to attend any of the rest of it because tomorrow is the last day. They did release a tool called Boundary, which seems like a really cool like auth service, a single sign-on-y type of deal for infrastructure. Seems pretty exciting. And the other thing I saw that they released was that now they have you know, a service mesh, multi-cloud service mesh, which is really interesting. You know, I don't have a need for that right now, but we'll definitely be going over some more. So we'll definitely be going over service mesh stuff and understanding, you know, why it's useful. It can be very useful, but everyone doesn't need it. It is certainly a buzzword. It's the buzzwordiest of the buzzwords, and so it's going to be you know, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, so last time we got into, let's get into GitHub and let's test some stuff out. We are doing Brenton out of Brenton. Nope, can't say it like that. Brenton. And we are working in conduit infrastructure is what we started. All we wanted to do was to give all the people who weren't familiar with Terraform a little slice of what Terraform has to offer. And we just got an EC2 instance spun up and destroyed. That was super easy. But we're gonna take that to, you know, the next level tonight, and we're gonna hop straight in and we're gonna start to talk about what we need, and we're gonna start building those things out because you know, that's what you got to do. So I'm going to clone this repo on this computer because I do not have it cloned here. I think I do have a mastermind MK pipelines. Okay. Also, you know, my other laptop, my other keyboard is kind of weird. So I did pick up what is this? This is the Glorious PC Gaming Race GMMK. And while I don't love that I'm going back to a normal layout, they do have a 60% board. There's a reason why I chose not to select the 60% board, and that is specifically has to do with my comfort with a 60% board that is, again, the layout that I like to use, which is, I think someone told me it's called the Sengen layout or something. I don't know. It's a non-traditional layout. It's like HKKB layout or HHKB layout, and but like with Windows keys. But this is like a more normal layout, but it works. You know, it does work. It has Gateron Brown switches. These are some boo-boo for sure. I don't love these. They are swappable though. And I thought I was gonna be able to swap them out to my Zelios V2s, but these are plate mount. My Zelios V2s are not plate mount, and they have the little pins. And the little extra stabilizing pins, which is annoying. Or sorry, these are board mount, I think, and those are plate mount. They have little pins. I can clip them off. Definitely can clip them off. But what I'm gonna do, for everyone who doesn't know, they got some holy pandas on the way. So glorious, yeah, PC Gaming Race, they have these glorious panda switches, which I have now ordered, so they'll come a little bit later. But I'm a fan of tactile switches. These sound like they need to be they need a little work, but super affordable if you're into the keyboard game, compared to the Holy Pandas, and their availability is good. You can actually get them. So yeah, Terraform's your jam. Yes, I do. I enjoy Terraform a lot. Terraform, I think all infrastructure tools are kind of interesting, and I'm actually pretty excited to be diving into some Terraform tonight, because yes, you do on a long-standing project. Yeah, you're touching Terraform, a lot, most likely, but there might come a time when you've built out most of what you need to build out, and you're not touching it quite that often. And so I don't know, it's just with cloud formation, all of them, like you get to a certain point where all the work's done up front, and then yes, you are adding, you are tweaking, but you're not just like really writing, like the setup is already there and stuff. So you just kind of changed up some configuration. So it's going to be fun to kind of get in here tonight and Google a lot of syntax. That's all. It's just a lot of syntax Googling. So that's what we'll be doing starting right now. So let me get this cloned really quick, and we will go. Feel free to clone this as well. I will paste this in the chat for you if I can. How did the hackers get away from the crime scene? I think they just ransomware. That is a good one. That's a good one also, because there's probably another good joke you could probably make in there with like actual ransomware. But I like that. That is good, really good actually. I'm gonna put that in my dad jokes bag right here. We've had a couple on stream so far that have been given to me, and I appreciate that. So I'll grab it. I'll put it there, but it's going to be one of the older, when they're, almost going to college dad joke, because they gotta know what ransomware is and all that other stuff. They gotta get a little computer savvy. So yeah, an Iris keyboard with the Kale chalk reds. I looked at some of the. I've never used Kale switches ever, but I've looked at a lot of them, and I want to check those out. So I might. I'll see what those are. I'll see what those are about. Okay, so let's get moving with this, and let's just see where we can get. Like I said, it's gonna be weird. My workflow is super weird because I don't have all my monitors, and my system is all like different, and like I can't monitor the stream in the same way that I've been monitoring it. So if I miss a question, feel free to ask it again. I'll do my best. I have my chat up in 2 spots because they're both out of my normal eye range, and I may just put it on the screen over here if it gets super weird. All right, cloned it, and I'll make this a lot larger as well. Just wanted to get in here and show you what we have. Bigger, and clear, and spell clear right this time. There we go, spelled it right. And all we have in our Terraform folder. So Terraform, there is a Terraform folder here. Why is there a Terraform folder here when we are doing Terraform? Like, shouldn't we, why isn't our main.tf stuff right here? This Terraform folder is here is because we will likely have more tools or more things that are going to be managing our infrastructure. Whether or not those stay in this repo or go somewhere else, we will decide that when we get to those tools. So Terraform, whoops, come on, let's spell things right this time. Is that large enough? Yeah, it looks good, I think. Man, I cannot type on this keyboard. It's really weird because the keycaps it's not the layout that's the problem. It feels like the keycaps are smaller. It really does feel that way. And the weight of the Gatorade Browns is a little off, but I'll get used to it pretty quickly. And the only way you can get used to something is to use it. So in here in our main.tf, what did we set up last time? All we set up last time in our main.tf was our providers. And if you are, I was used to pre 0.13 syntax. So this providers block threw me off. I'm glad we actually looked it up because I would have got this wrong, because usually you just kind of throw in a little provider block like this. But now you need both of these things, which I actually kind of like when I looked into it a little bit more. And all we did besides that was we created this VPC. I mean, not the VPC, this EC2 instance, just to see how quickly we could get something up. But today, here's what I think we should do. We can't do, unfortunately, we are unable to do any whiteboard stuff today because neither capture card is back in the computer right now. But let's grab a Notion page really fast. And let's get going. Let's just talk about some of the things we need. So conduit infrastructure, and let's just go down and let's do what do we need, huh? What in the world do we need? And so I think we only need a couple things here. I think we need one. We know that we need some EC2 instances, so we need some server instances, and I'll put that as maybe that's not the first thing we need, but we will need some server instances. Okay, or something to replicate those. So imagine that you started this journey at the company, and maybe you're just learning about the cloud. So maybe you're just learning about AWS, and you're still not sure what the pieces are that are going to match up to what you know. But yeah. Conduit, is this the K service mesh or the name of your own project? This is not the Kubernetes service mesh. This is the name of our open source project that you can grab. It's not ours. We didn't make this, but if you go to pipelines.media, you will see our implementation of Conduit. It is our application that's taking on medium.com. So if you go to pipelines.media or staging.pipelines.media or development.pipelines.media, you can see, ooh, global feed, because I'm not signed in. You can actually create an account, and you can see me here. This is an image of me. I know people tell me I look like Idris Elba all the time, but that is in fact a picture of myself, 100%. So I think that Idris looks like me, and you can kind of just check out some of the posts here. If you want to check out the posts, you can see those things, but you can make an account, you can create posts yourself, but Conduit is the name of the application. It's, we didn't write this. It is an open source application. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, you said roles, so you're saying that we need roles. Okay, all right, I like that. Let's throw that on here. Roles, that makes sense, especially that's really good actually, as we have to create users and things for the people coming on. That's nice. So we're gonna need server instances, we're gonna need roles, and once you're going to the cloud, you need to, we're going to need some, we need to set up, all the, whatever networking needs to be set up. Maybe, we could actually probably skip this, but I'm going to put this here as something to just keep in mind. This would be things, just thinking forward, things like setting up a VPC for each, possibly for each environment. If we want to create some type of separation here and have some granular, the ability to granularly control some of the access and things like that. We might want to set up, some specific networks there. Maybe we're gonna need to set up DNS as well. Maybe a database. Maybe if we decide to host a database off of the system itself. What wiki software is this you're using for your list? Oh, this is Notion. It's called something. It's a cool tool called Notion. It's pretty dope. I highly recommend it to everyone. It's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got you can do code blocks, and you can write your code in there, and it's got syntax highlighting for different things, and you can link stuff directly from my Google Drive, and it's real cool. It is what part, like the pages for the website that are talking about, what are we doing right now? We are doing pipelines. So this is the actual web page. If you go to academy.mastermind.io, this will actually show to you. It'll be in white and it won't be in dark mode. But yeah, you can set up some really cool little softwares here. Do load balancers fall under networks? I think that they do. I would put them when I'm thinking and I'm planning. I think so. So we can just put in here, like, and cool. So what's nice about infrastructure as code as well is it's really good because we can start with the, it may make it hard later, depending on what you know about the setup of the services and the platforms that you're using, but we can start out with whatever we want to start out with. We can start out with, the simplest pieces to get things moved and to get things going and add on to them pretty quickly, actually. So I think we're gonna approach it that way, but keep throwing stuff out there that we might need in here. Remember, our application is 4 services right now. It's the front end, which is a Node.js app, Node React, a back end, which is Node.js Express. We have MongoDB, and we have Nginx. Access rules, I like that. I'll put that here. I'll put ACLs here, and I'll put ACLs here, depending on the orders and things that we do. All right, let me pull this up. Thank you, Mace Cuddy. Thank you so much for the follow. It is good to have you. I do appreciate it. That's good. I like that. What's up, Anstefa? And Steph, yeah, there we go. I want to see if I read it again. My setup is different. It's kind of small over here, so I can't really read it. I'm doing good. I am, in fact, I'm doing well today. Like I told everyone I had a rough day yesterday, simply because my whole desktop, my whole big workstation died again. This is like the second time in like a month, but I got it worked out. Luckily, it was a $6 fix. It was just a CMOS battery, but it was a heck of a time trying to get it worked out. But I'm doing good now. I spent the day, I'm a little bit tired because I spent the day playing catch up on all the things I didn't get to do yesterday because I was fighting through those problems, but we're all good. We are doing good. So we'll start out with this. We start out with some server instances. Let's start to just get a little deeper, even with just the server instances that we've done so far, and let's see how we can let's see what we can do with this. Just shut it down. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. It's good to have you here. All right, so yes, we have this EC2 instance. It is a test EC2 instance, and actually there's other stuff let's see what's spun up right now. This was the hello world thing. Let me manually delete this one because the local state, we blew away the local state, so I can't delete it anyway with the with Terraform. Let's terminate this one, and let me make sure I don't terminate any of the things that I need. I probably should have created a whole new account for this, to be honest, but I like living on the edge. So we have right now, again, the development pipelines.media, pipelines.media, which is production and staging. Again, we could import them. We definitely could import them. But again, because of the way that we have these things set up, yeah, that is absolutely an option that you have, but we don't need these servers to stay up. It's okay for us to tear these down, and so I think we should start the setup from scratch to have just what we need, or else you're gonna have to import, and you're gonna have a bunch of settings that you're gonna have to go through and determine what needs to stay, what needs to be templatized, all that other stuff. So yes, importing it into the state could be good, but I think we're going to start from scratch and see if we can deploy a replica, or maybe even deploy a new environment. Maybe we want a QA environment. Maybe we'll start with trying to get a QA environment up, and then if we have a way to deploy a replica environment, then we can retrofit everything in and be able to spin up copies of these things. So let's start with I think we already grabbed the proper AMI ID. I'm pretty sure this is for Ubuntu. That is what we decided to use, and that looks really good. But I want you to start thinking through some things like, yes, we can do infrastructure as code like this, and we can explicitly say everything that we need, but start to think about how this stuff like this works when there are multiple environments. Like when we do need to do different things, like maybe our development instance is a T3 micro, but what happens when we want to move up to production where people are actually accessing this thing? Do we want an instance of that's this small? No, we don't. And so there are ways to handle that, and we'll handle some of that tonight. But just start thinking about some of the things that you might have to deal with when you're running through this stuff. So we'll create this, and the name is, you know, I don't like the name. Let's call this, let's just call it conduit instance, or conduit web server is the name that we'll give it, just to have a better name. Remember, this name in Terraform specifically is the name that Terraform references this by. It has nothing to do with AWS. It's just how it, you know, keeps track of it in the state and how you can refer to it at other times. We don't need two of them, and we just did this just to show how easy it was. And we'll leave it as 2.3 micro and tags hello world. We don't need this. And maybe for now, maybe we'll just, you know, call it again, pipelines.media. Maybe it's what we want, but maybe we're starting out, like I said, maybe we're starting out adding in a QA environment or something like that. So great, we can start here. And we could deploy this. We could deploy this, and this will give us a server. So let's go ahead and let's save this, and let's actually deploy it. And let's use the tools that we just learned. Alt Shift minus. Okay, I think you can resize it as well. I don't know how to hold on, we gotta figure out how to resize this really quick, because I can't live like this. Windows terminal resize pane. Alt Shift arrow key, that makes sense. Alt Shift arrow keys. All right, we'll move this down a little bit. And so we have our Vim up top, our text editor up top, and we have our Terraform below. And I think you can just use Alt and arrow keys to move in between the two terminals, which is nice. And I'll go to where this is, mastermind, pipelines, and conduit infrastructure, and Terraform. And what are the first things that you have to do? Again, we just downloaded this, we just cloned this. So the first thing you have to do is a Terraform init. And what does that Terraform init do? That Terraform init is going to go grab all of the packages and things, the plugins, you know, the provider information, any modules and things that you're using. It'll grab that, it'll pull it all down, and it'll set everything up properly so that you can start to do the work that you need to do. So that's what we just did here, because this is our first time running this as a new downloaded repository. And now we can run a Terraform format just to make sure everything's good. We can run a Terraform Validate, which is going to confirm the syntactical validity of this setup of the things that we wrote. Doesn't mean it's going to work. It just means that as far as Terraform can tell, this is good to go. And then we are simply going to do a Terraform Apply, and it's going to run through, and it's going to let us know what is going to happen. So let's make this a little bit larger and look at what it's going to do. It's going to give us a new server. All right, so again, think about what we're doing. Think about what we're learning over these next 2 weeks. We're learning about codifying infrastructure. We are taking real infrastructure, these servers, and we are turning them into code. And this is how you do it. And so yes, we have it. So it's going to add one, not going to destroy any, or not going to change anything. So I hit yes, and this is going to give us a new server that we can start to work off of. So we'll let it do that, and then we will move on once that's done. So very quick, let's check to make sure it did what it's supposed to do. Let's make this page a little bit larger. And I don't hate the new layout. It's a little bit different. I love this. I adore that they broke up the networking from the security, from the details down here at the bottom. Still a little too much in this main pane, but I do like that. But what we do have now is, what do we call this? We called, we should have done that. Staging pipelines, development.pipelines. What did it do? Oh no. Hold on, let's refresh really quick. There should be two. Which one just spun up? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 here. Let me check to see what it did. It said it did it. Creating a web server. What do we call it? Sometimes things get hidden behind that scroll bar. Oh, does it really? I can't even do anything with this scroll bar. Hold on, let's see. News to dashboard. There are only 5. Very interesting. I wonder Oh, how long has this been up? Does it show like uptime for these things? We can, cause I gave it, no, this should be instance name. It didn't spin anything up. Interesting. Hold on. So let's check something really quick. I clicked yes. It says it did it. Let me do a Terraform. Let me see what happens when I destroy it really quick. Let's see what happens real fast. It's the second instance. Oh, QA. We did call it QA. You're right. I'm tripping. But why does it still only show 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh yeah. I'm in my mind. We called it pipelines.media. I probably should have went back and looked at the code because we called it QA.pipelines.media right here. It is in fact the second instance. That should already show you that I didn't delete it yet, which is great. So that works. So it did create an instance pretty quickly for us. And now we have a web server that we could access if we needed to access it. Now let's work through as if we were trying to do this. Like we're actively in the process. We're learning both Terraform and we're both learning AWS at the same time. And you say, yes, I've conquered the first task. I have a server, I've codified a server, and let's see if we can get logged in. And you're like, okay, let me go ahead and grab the IP address. Phenomenal, and let me go ahead and try to SSH into the user's Ubuntu at this, and you say, great, look at that. It's even gonna let me do it. This indicates that I can reach it via a network. So you're like, all right, excellent, that's great. And then you get a permission denied public key because you don't yet know that AWS instances do not allow you to log in via username and password. You must authenticate via an SSH key. And you say, great, I remembered that, but I have an SSH key, but I have no idea. I have no idea what to do with it. I've got no idea. Like, I have this server spun up, and now like I could log into the server and I could, put, configure it properly. I could put the key on there, and that might be what you would do as you first kind of got here. If you're used to having to manage servers manually, that might be what you have to do, or what you think you have to do. But we're smart, and we're like, hey, I'm going to explore my options here. I know the cloud introduces some new things. Let me go ahead and look through what I can do. And so we go ahead and you say, let's go to the documentation for Terraform AWS EC2. Let's try this. We've been here many times. And look at the resource right here, and maybe you say, all right, I'm gonna look through the different arguments. Maybe there's an option in here to make some of this stuff happen. And you can simply look for key, and you can say, whoops, nope, it's trying to give me some other stuff over here. How many? 13 on this page. I don't know what the resource is called. I know what the resource is called, but maybe you don't. And you say, okay, AWS key pair, but all the stuff over here on the left is for specific resources. We don't want a new resource. We want to use the one that we already have. And you keep hitting next, and look at this key name, optional. This is the key name of the key pair to use for the instance. All right, so you can manage it using the key pair resource. So if you need to create new key pairs, you can do this through the key pair resource, but we already have keys. We have a number of keys that we can use that we've created before. And so we'll just use one of those. We're dealing with a lot of Linux stuff right now, so maybe we'll just use the one that we used from the Waddle bootcamp. And the Waddle bootcamp, I think the key was called Waddle, and I think it is in the root directory. And look at that. There's a couple of PIMs on here. I need to clean them up, to be honest, because we've been making new ones for everything that we do. That's why I don't want to make any more new ones now, because they need to be cleaned up. But you can say, great. All right, I want to use this Waddle key to get into this server. I want to be able to use this key. So I'm going to specify the key name, and then I'm going to give it a value of Waddle. And that is, again, we are declaring what we need. We are configuring what we need. And so in this EC2 resource, this AWS instance resource, we can go anywhere in here. And I'm going to go key name, and we're going to set that equal to Waddle. I think it needs to be a string. I'm not 100% sure. And I don't think you put the .pem on there. But if we're wrong, no big deal. We will fix it. So we'll save that file. Everything seems good. And again, just getting into the workflow. You don't need to do this every time, but we're gonna do a format first, excuse me, to make sure it is formatted correctly. We're gonna do a validate just to make sure this is syntactically correct. And then we are gonna do a Terraform apply. Okay, so what's interesting about this apply is you're gonna see this. You're gonna see everything that it's gonna do. It's gonna change a bunch of stuff. Why is it gonna change a bunch of things? It's because we added a new key for this to use, and a key is one of the things that makes this change not be able to be made in place. So what it actually has to do is spin up a whole new server and spin down the old one. So it's going to give us a new server and it's going to destroy the old one. So I'm going to say go ahead and say yes, and it's going to go ahead and take care of that for me. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever done anything inside of AWS, but the interface is not that intuitive, to be 100% honest. It can be annoying. To launch an instance, it is quick, but you still got to click through all of these screens and you got to go down. You got to find the option that you want. Okay, I want Ubuntu. I'll select it. Then I got to find the one that I want here, and I got to go to next. And then I got to set up all my stuff in each of these screens just to spin up a server. This way that we've done it now is so easy to both spin one up and spin one down at the exact same time, and have it managed by someone other than us. And that is very, very exciting to me. It really is game changing for the way people do anything. All right. So now in here, what do we have? Let's refresh it again. And so we have the terminated QA.pipelines.media right here. This was the instance that existed just a few minutes ago, or just a couple seconds ago, actually. And now we have this pipelines.media, which is up and running, and you can tell it's new because it's still initializing the status checks, but it should be accessible. And you can say, great, let's see if this worked and the way that I want it. We got this. We have a key set up, and you can actually scroll down here to see that there is a key that's set up. I don't know where it is now with this new layout, but it should be in here somewhere. Let's see. Key pair name right here, Waddle. So it did pick up the Waddle key pair that we were talking about. So let's see if we can get logged in. And so we're going to run another SSH, and now we're going to specify key -I EC2 Ubuntu, I think is what the user is here, Ubuntu at paste. And nope, because I didn't specify the key. I think it's /waddle .pim. There we go. All right, so this time we're gonna get logged in, and look at that, we are logged in. Apparently Kubernetes 1.19 is out, and they must, they made sure that we knew that Kubernetes 1.19 is out. That is the message of the day when you log into these brand new Ubuntu server. Uber King Kong, I'm not sure if those slides are, those might be from Decoded, but feel free, you can check them out. There are no slides for tonight. We're just implementing what we were already working on. Okay, great. So we're in the server. Phenomenal. So that might be a great start. That 100% can be a great start. You might say, cool. Now that's set up, I can go in here and I can install all the things I need to install, and get everything set up. That absolutely is okay. Again, we talked about the journey into DevOps, the journey into being able to have a great site reliability engineering practice, the journey into having consistent and reliable infrastructure that you can be confident in. And again, the journey is a journey to get there, and you can start with things like this, so you don't have to go, there's a lot of things that we did not just do. There's a lot of things that we should have included in here that can make it more robust. But again, you start slow. We got a server that's up and running. It's got a name, which is great. We can identify it. We got logged in. We figured out how to get logged in. Great. We're making progress here, and now we can move on. So let's do this. Let's get out of here, and let's start thinking about some options for this to work. So there's a couple of different ways we can do this, and I think that right now, early on, we should start to get in place a paradigm in which we can deploy multiple environments. So right now we have hard-coded pipelines.media, and we also have hard-coded key name, hard-coded instance type, and a hard-coded AMI. Our AMI might stay the same, but I think our instance type is going to need to change in between environments. Maybe all of our lower environments or non-production environments might be T3 micros, and our prod one maybe needs to be a medium or a large. We might want to have different keys for each one. Oh no, am I frozen? Yes, my face is frozen. Is the whole stream frozen? I think it's just my face. Let's see. Not a problem. Let's see, deactivate, and then it should react and then activate, and we should be right back. I think. No, it didn't like that at all. Hold on. Let's cancel. Let's redo, deactivate, then activate, and choose something else. Oh no, yeah, it doesn't like what I just did at all. Hold on. I must be seen, okay? I must be seen. No, I'm joking. Let me just get it back. Everything I really need to work out the issues with this computer. Video capture device. Great. I'm gonna add a brand new source. 4K Sony. I'm gonna cut off the Sony. I'm gonna cut the Sony back on. Give it a full little reset here. And yes, I am actually trying turning it off and turning it back on again. And I hope this works. Okay, Sony. Add source. And bigger video. It's like everything just died on OBS virtual camera. What is that? Wait, one more. I'm gonna try one more thing. But even hold on. But is the actual screen okay? All right, it's still capturing everything else. This is. Just adding another. This just adds another computer problem that we've run into. I'm only gonna spend another. All right, I'm back, but I'm still back with no camera. So here's what we're gonna do to, make you feel like that I'm still here. We're gonna go ahead and add a new image source, and then we'll try back in a few. We'll try in a few minutes. Image slideshow or just a media source? Let's do a media source. All right, let's do this and this and oh yeah. Wow, that was a terrible way to type that, but let's get a nice little media source in here. Add source, add new source. Me is the source, local file. Oh no. Documents. Oh, actually, maybe not. I thought I had some headshots on this computer, but I don't. I do not. So it just at this point it just is what it is. What can let's download a meme really quick. 1 second, I'm almost there. Here we go. Actually, I have no idea if I can be heard or seen. I'm just gonna go with yes. Yeah, yeah, you can't see me because the computer's being weird, but I got something for you. Local file is what I want. Downloads. Oh, this is weird. Oh, now I know what's happening. This PC, but got it. I think. I what? Hold on. I actually think the problem is not what I thought it was. I'm so close. Users, me. Downloads. Perfect. Yeah, but it's not. How do I do input format? If I do local file, it's only letting me do a local file. I have it here. I just saved it, but now I think I'm having a OneDrive versus the drive on my computer issue. But you know how we can get over this? Here's how we can get over this. This is not a problem at all. We're gonna take this. We're gonna go into pictures. We're gonna move this over into. All right, got it. Here we go. I know, man. I've really been struggling. It's been so bad, but my computer works though. That's good. That was the most difficult part, is making sure the computer worked. The computer works now, but it's also giving me, as you can see, all of the issues that it can give me. What in the world? I just moved this file. It almost seems like now, oh my gosh. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I'm telling myself that it's okay, you know? Because now, oh, you know what? I actually think the problem, all I'm trying to do right now is select a simple image file. So it feels like, it feels like we're together. Even though my camera is like, I'm done with you, it'll feel like we're together. I don't think it's a Windows problem. I think it's, actually, you're right. Just blame Windows. Let's just blame Windows here. And it's so frustrating, but it's fine. Added one source, 2 sources, and then this is the last try, and then we'll just keep moving, because you're here for the tech, not for my beautiful face. I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate it. It's like there are hidden files. I know how to show hidden files, but why are there hidden files? They're not actually hidden. Sharing. Okay. Well, this is. Oh, nope. I know what the problem is. It's just not showing me files that are images, because you can't do that through a media source. You have to do that through an image slideshow. Man, okay, so it's not my computer. It is simply me. All right, no problem. Now, if I do I'm gonna add a file, or there's probably an image option and not just a slideshow. But either way, you know, all that matters is that you can see me. Let's put this at the bottom. Let's get me lined up in here. And there you go. I'm here and I'm talking to you. This is very exciting. All right, let's get back to what we were doing, because we got so sidetracked with my stupid camera, which I will fix one day, maybe tomorrow. All right, so we got this set up this way where everything is hard coded right now, but that seems a little bit weird. Hard coding is, you know, it can be fine, and you have a lot of options in Terraform for, you have a lot of options here for managing multiple environments, managing, you know, multiple sets of variables and things that you want to work with. Yeah, you have a lot of different ways that you can work with that. And one of the simplest ways, I'm going to show you, there are essentially 3 ways that I know of to handle this. And I'm going to need some help from Google with the syntax for some of these things. But first thing you can do, what some people do is make folders. And some people will simply have like we'll have a dev folder. And so the dev folder will end up having its own space. They'll have their staging folder, and then they will have their production folder, all with, and basically they will make copies of main. So you just copy, you know, main.tf to, you know, dev/dev.tf or something. And so there would end up being basically a TF file in each of those places that had its you know, own configuration, its own hard coded values. Okay, that works. It does work. A lot of people do this way. So I'm gonna do this to all of them just so you can see the staging and staging and production/production. Okay, so I'll do that all in here, and then basically the main.tf will be gone. All the tf state files will be gone. It would just be a dev, a production, and a staging folder here, and whatever would need to be deployed, that is where you would go. And again, you would go into, you know, staging, and you would vim that, and you would change all of the values here to, you know, maybe the key is staging, and then maybe, you know, not maybe, this would be staging, and maybe you change the instance type or something like that. So yes, we could do this way and it would work, but it's not ideal. It's absolutely not ideal. I don't think it's ideal. Why is it not ideal? It's not ideal to me because when you need to make a change, let's say you have a bunch of stuff here. Let's say we needed to make a change to the AMI. Let's say we had 5 environments. Let's say we had, you know, a development, you know, a master integration development or something, like a 2 levels of development. Maybe you had a QA server, staging, and production. Let's say we needed to change our AMI ID. We'd have to change this value in 5 different files in 5 different places to make a single change. That, you know, 5 may not sound like a lot, but there are a lot of other things in here that might have to change along with this when this happens. And, you know, you got to be cognizant of that. This setting it up this way is the easiest initial setup, but it is the most difficult to manage as you are working through things. So that's one way to do things. Now, we learned last time when we did the Terraform stuff, you can have variables in here. So Terraform does in fact support variables. So check this out. I could do something like, I could do something like this. And let's actually get out of this directory. Q, I don't want to change anything. I actually want to delete all of those. So rm-rf dev production and staging. Yes, welcome back. You know, I found a nice headshot of myself. So, you know, just make you feel like you're at home. And so So we're gonna remove those. Another way you can do it again is with variables. So we do have a way to provide some dynamicism. I think that's the right word I'm looking for. It's either dynamicism or dynamicity or something along those lines is what we are gonna want here. And we want to make it a little more dynamic. And so here we go. We can now set up a variable or something, and we can say, hey, we got a variable here, and this variable is called, AMI is kind of long to type in. Let's call it, let's do a key first. Let's call this variable key pair. All one word, whatever. And I think that's all you got to do. I'll look up syntax in a bit if we get this wrong, but I think you just specify what type it is. And I think the type is going to be a string, and I think I can set something like a default. And I can set the default equal to, if normally it's going to be waddle, I can set this to something like this. And so this is great. This is really nice. And then down here, instead of referencing waddle, I can now instead reference var dot key pair. So now I have a way of doing this a little bit differently now. So we've also learned that, we can handle these variables outside of here. There is a variables.tf file we can make. There's a tf-vars file that we can make. And so we'll look at that in a second, but I want you to see, if you've never seen this before, is that you can have variables, and this is how you do them, I think. We're about to find out in a second. And the way that I can confirm things are still good is you can say, hey, all right, cool. I've learned how to use variables here. And now I can go down here and I can do a Terraform Fumt. And actually, let's scroll up here so you can see. Oh, never mind. It's not going to change anything. Whoops. FMT. And then we'll do a Terraform Validate just to make sure we're still good. All right, and so when you make changes like this, I'm basically making this change, and I basically replaced a hard-coded value with a variable name. And so now I might want to say, cool, now that I did that, how do I make sure things are still good? And you can always do that simply by doing a Terraform plan. And so if things are operating properly, if I swap these things out properly, we should see no changes. And so first thing we see here is I made a mistake on line 11 of type string, and I guess Terraform 0.11 and earlier required type constraints to be given in quotes, but that form is now deprecated and will be removed in future versions of Terraform. To silence warning, remove the quotes around strings. So this error or warning, it's not an error, it's a warning. First off, what I love about this is look how much information Terraform gives you. This is why everyone should pour one up for HashiCorp, because they're amazing. Like I said, they're going through their conference right now, but their tools are really great for stuff like this. This is a really nice thing. Infrastructure is notoriously difficult to troubleshoot, and codifying infrastructure is difficult to do. And so this tells you exactly what's wrong. It's actually just a warning, but there were no changes. The infrastructure is up to date. This means the changes that we made are good, but they did give us a warning saying that, hey, things have changed between version 0.11 and the version that you're on. The version that we're on is 0.13, I believe. Yes, 0.13.2. There were very significant changes made in 0.12, and there have been some more not quite as significant changes, but some more good changes made in 0.13. Definitely really good, but there's one of those tools that's never going to reach 1.0, I don't think, but we'll see how this works. Gmail was in beta until like a couple years ago, so it is what it is. But that does work, so great. That's exciting. We could use this to change some things a little bit later, but yeah, you can set up variables, but we're gonna start to set these up outside of this file. Are your staging and production environments on the same server? I always assumed they were on separate servers with some kind of pipeline connected them. No, so you are right. No, you're 100% correct. They are in completely separate servers, completely separate environments. Now, I'm saying that as that's the normal way of doing things. That is not always true. There are a lot of use cases actually now where they are on the same servers. There are, I mean, well, they should, your production system should not, your production system should not be on the same instances as the rest of these things. But as far as development environments go, in these different environments, especially with tools and the way things are, people are doing things now with stuff like Kubernetes and things, with using namespaces and stuff, where you can kind of section off resources on the same computing instances. It's certainly a plausible thing to do, but your production server would not be on the same server. Generally, you want to do your best to, if you can, and money, how much budget you all have matters a lot here. But what you want to do is you want to try to make each of these environments as much of a replica as production is as possible. So yes, maybe production has unlimited scalability, and maybe it starts off with 25 servers or something like that to support everything and all these things, but maybe you create replicas of this but make it a scaled down version. Maybe you set the maximum scalable servers to 2 or something like that, so that you have something that's very similar, and this will give you the most confidence as you're deploying code, as you're creating new things, that things are going to work in production. When the infrastructure of the lower environments, or the infrastructure of the development environments, the staging environments, the non-production environments, the farther away that infrastructure gets from production, the more it increases your chance of running into significant issues as you begin to deploy new code and new features. So just be aware of that. And again, this is why something like Terraform is really nice, because what it does is it allows us to templatize the whole thing, where everything can be the same, and simply swap out different parameters for this. So do I have to attach a security group? When I created my server, I did not get port 22 open. Great question. Interesting. I think by default, if you just make an EC2 instance by default, I don't think you have to make a security group, because the default security group that so you know why I think that I opened. So what it's going to do is, if you don't specify a security group, it's going to give it the default one that exists inside of your AWS account. And I think I opened mine up. I'm pretty sure I opened up my default one, so that's probably the issue. So yeah, we probably should create and attach a security group. So that is something that we can do in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit more about how we work with these variables really quick. The other two ways, I'm gonna shout out the other two ways. They're both more complicated than the way that we just talked about. So again, the first way is to have separate folders: dev, staging, production, all with the same files in them, that are hard coded to the values that environment needs. That works, but then you run into situations where if you need to make a simple change, you have to make it inside of every environment file, and it gets hard to manage. Works, easiest to set up, hardest to manage. The next way you can do things is using these variables. All right, and so let me make this a little bit smaller. And so what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna move these out. So Terraform has a couple of paradigms that you can use for this. And like I said, we're gonna have to look up some syntax on this. So TF-vars, there's Terraform has a file format where you can call it variables.tf-vars or something like tf-vars, which will allow for some input variables. But then it also has something called a variables.tf file. So .tf is the normal Terraform extension, and the way that these differ is that the TF-vars, I'm pretty sure it's the TF-vars, you can declare variables, and you can set values. You can declare them, you can set values, but the variables.tf or whatever the other one is, you cannot create variables. You cannot declare variables. You can only assign values. So one of them can simply be a list of variable values, and the other one can be a declaration of each of these variables. And in fact, I'm gonna look it up again because I don't know which one's which. I always forget. I know what the difference is. I don't know What different environment variables in your host can be used? We know that. How? What did it tell us? Which one is which? Let's see. Really interested in the Terraform CDK. Have you had the chance to explore it yet? No, I have not. I have not attempted to do that yet. Okay, yeah. TFVars is where you define it. And then in the variables.tf, you can give it values. If you want to just set a bunch of values. So I'm going to move this to a TFVars file real quick, variables.tfvars. And so this will use this variables.tfvars. If I go ahead and make that really quick, let's see, add variables.tf, and if I take key pair over here, whoops, I can declare this here, and everything should still be the same. I deleted it from the other side, and it should still work the exact same way if I were to do a Terraform plan. Variable key pair was already named and declared. Oh, I didn't save this file over here. And a plan theoretically should give us the same thing. And it does, no changes. I moved this over one and they said I can, let's go ahead and take these off since they said I could. And we basically can stop seeing that extra error. Let's go bigger. Do another plan just so you can see it. So no changes. We were able to move over the variables into this file over here. We could remove the default here. So if we remove this default, save this really quick. Again, we could set all these things up. We could also define, all these variables in the main.tf over here if we wanted as well, and then just use a variables. Actually, I call this variables.tf and it still worked. So maybe you can. I thought, what did it just say? We just read this. Oh. So you can define variables in the .tf, but TFVars is used to define what? To declare. Oh, declare. That makes sense. Declare it exists, and then we can make a TFVars to set them all up if we want. So let's go back in and just so you can see what the paradigm looks like. What's up, Justice Engineering? Welcome to the channel. Also, what is up, Shell Coding? It's good to have you both here. Samindi, Charlie, Tacoma, welcome. Cowboy, welcome. Zava, welcome. Yes, this is in fact your boy, Mr. Elba. I was going to try to put on my English accent, but I couldn't. Really, my camera just kind of stopped working in midstream. My camera works. There's something wrong with the Elgato stuff. You know, I really need to simplify my setup, which I'm going to do very soon, so that we don't have all these problems. But welcome to the stream, everybody. So, a variables.tf file allows us to declare that a variable exists, and if we want, we can go over here and we can make another node, add a child node, and we can call this variables. Oops, what just happened? Oh, variables.tfvars. And now when we do this, we can simply, we set up, we declared a key pair, and now I think we can just set the value like this. I think we can now just do like a, what's happening here? It won't let me type. There we go. I think we can just simply do a key pair equals whatever we want it to equal, and we said we wanted it to equal waddle. And I think this will work as is, and so I'll save this as well. We'll go back down to the bottom. Let's do one more plan. Okay, and so I don't think that took it properly. Do I need to do something different? Let me check this out. It's basically asking us for one. So this is another cool thing about Terraform. This is also a way that you can define some of these things. You can do them at runtime if you want. You shouldn't do this. Don't do this, but it is a possibility. If you've declared a variable but you have not given it a value, this is what will happen. Yeah, this is exactly what will happen. It'll ask you for it. So it did not pick that up. The root module input key pair is not set and has no default value. Let me see here. And so you can also pass in a variable file. So I can pass this in, but it should take this by default, shouldn't it? I think it should take TFVars by default if variables.tfvars. Pretty sure it takes it by default. That's where you set that up, assign it. Yeah, I think I can just do this. File using a TFVar, deploy changes. Okay, I guess I can give it a var file, but I'm pretty sure I can name it something where it'll take this by default without me having to pass in a var file, but that's fine. This works. But what it also shows you is the second way, like this shows you the fancy part of the second way that we can do this. So if the first part, we were gonna make copies of everything, now we're starting to see that we can simply just make copies of the variables files. If we can do this, if we can just do variables dot tfvars, if we can do this, which works, which looks like it works. Basically, we told it which variables file to use. Then we could make a dev.tfvars that had everything. We could make a staging.tfvars that had each of the things that we needed, and we could also make a production. Okay, and I think this is the best bang for your buck way of doing things, and so let's do that. So we'll talk about the third way. I think this is the simplest way to kind of get set up, the simplest way to get going, and the one that kind of makes the most idiomatic sense for Terraform. The last way though is actually the way that I like the most. But again, you have to develop your entire process around it, and the way that it depends on how you're building out your thing. And this is to use locals. It's something called locals, which are basically just local variables. But the setup is a lot different. So basically we would do something like this. And I'm only gonna partially set this up so you can see it. And maybe we'll find an article on it or something in a second so that we can see more of it. But basically, over here, we would add a new file and we would call it something like locals.tf. And basically, you would use a combination of locals, so local variables, and workspaces. So Terraform has this functionality called Workspaces, and Workspaces allows you to basically have these different sectioned off namespace work environments. So if you're working in dev, inside of the state, dev is its own thing. Dev is its own sectioned off area of things, and then you can switch to a new workspace that is its own new sectioned off version of things. And so we could create a locals.tf file here, and let's close some of these windows really quick. We'll close this for now. And so in the locals, I'm not going to do this one-to-one because we're not going to implement this. I just want to give you a little bit of a look-see at what this might look like. And I encourage you to go look up Google like managing Terraform environments with locals. And again, this kind of, you got to set things up as modules and things, so it can get a little annoying, but it would look something like this. I think it's locals, and then that's going to be kind of an array of things, and then you can set up like an environment section here. And then so what I could do here is I could say something like I could have like default equals, and then I could have like dev equals, and then I could have staging, and then I could have production. And let's close all these off. And so we'd have something like this. And then what we do is we start to set up each of the values in here. So maybe we'd have the name of our server. So maybe we'd have like a server name. And the default name of this would be, you know, conduit. But maybe for dev, you know, we want to save this. Maybe for dev, we want, maybe we want the name for dev to actually be, you know, conduit dev or something. And so on. So you'd put all of the things that you wanted to set up variables for, just down in each of these. But it wouldn't just work like that. You didn't have to do some stuff where you would basically define, you know, you'd have to do a little bit of magic down here to basically tell Terraform to apply this to basically to check to see what your current workspace is and apply that to these values and export these things as environment variables or as variables that can be used later. I'll go find those, but I know it's something like environment vars, and then you can do a equals like you do some kind of check for a key, and I'll look it up really quick. I'm trying to see if I remember what you're even looking for. But you end up concatenating like the key against, I'm trying to think what the function is. There's an internal function for this. I'll look it up. But basically you just gotta, you know, there's more setup here. You gotta set it up to be able to take all this information and to look up what your current workspace is, and then to be able to match your workspace with one of the options in the environment, and then take all that information and set it to another variable that you can use elsewhere, and that you can grab data and information from, and set it to another object. So it's pretty interesting. Is there a way to pass a list of things? Yes, there is. I will show you that because we will definitely have to pass lists of things. So list of things simply look like this. They look like lists. So if there was an option, maybe actually undo, maybe we want to do something like subnets or something. And we needed a list of different subnets, and it would look something like this, like 10.0.2. whatever, /24. And then you just put a comma, and then you do another one. /24. Yeah, and you just kind of go along like this, and I think all these have to be their own string, and that is a list. Now, we're not going to use this file, but also if you are making a variable that is a list, you have to make that type of list. I think you just call it a list. I'm not sure if you have to do like a list of strings or something like that. I can't remember how to declare them, but you would have to give it a type of list instead of just like string. You would have to tell it that it's going to be a list and that it should be expecting a list. And a lot of these things, a lot of the paradigms in here, again, look at some of the stuff that we've done in Decoded. If you've been watching Decoded, and then look at some of the stuff that we've done here. This is built with Go, and so again, you have that format, you have the validate, you have you have the somewhat strict typing, just a little bit, but it's pretty interesting. But we're not gonna do this locals way because it's just I think it's a little confusing of a setup, because again, you kind of got to build the rest of your setup out of that, and I don't think we should do that while we're trying to do this, build out what we're trying to build out now. So let's go ahead and delete this node here, delete it, let's get rid of it, and let's get what we have now to be worked out a little bit better. And let's use the method of making, we'll use the variables.tf to declare what variables exist. And then we'll use this variables.tf vars file for each environment to set these things up. And again, I'm not saying that I think this is the best method. I'm saying that I think this is the best method for us in the place that we're at now, given the amount of time we have to set things up and to get moving with this stuff. I mean, we do have 2 weeks to codify all this, but we need to be moving as fast as possible. So I'm going to move this current node from variables.tf I'm gonna move it to dev. I'm gonna move it to development and not just dev. .tfvars. And let's go ahead and close this. Let's leave this open. And let's go down. Let's go down here. And let's make a copy of this. So let's copy development.tfvars to staging.tfvars. And let's also copy it to production. All right, so take a look at what we have. We have our main file, so that's the main file that has the code in it that is going to run what we have. It's going to kick everything off. And again, this is just a default setup. You can get pretty fancy with this. I thought I deleted the locals, but I guess I did not delete the locals file. I'm going to delete that. But we have a development TFRs, production, and the staging. This is going to be where we give our actual values. And then we have our state files here. And we have a variables.tf where we are declaring our variables. So declare in the variables.tf, and then define values in the tfvars files. Okay, so now we have different variable files that we can use. So now we can start to templatize our main.tf now. So let's get back up here. And we can stop hard coding everything. I don't know what's changed there, but okay. But things like, again, the AMI is something we can take out of here, which I think we should take out of here. And let's actually split this so that we can set these things up properly. And let's call this instance AMI. And let me go ahead and copy this in. What line is that? 19. Oops. Okay, so we got instance AMI here, and so we'll need to instead change this to var dot instance AMI. Okay, so now you can start to see how this gets templatized. We'll need to go back over here, and let's say we want to set an instance size. And again, you can make these variables a lot shorter, but I'm gonna go ahead and just keep doing it this way for now. And we'll set this to t3.micro for development. And what else do we have here? And the name tag. And so we'll call this instance name. And we'll call this development pipelines media. And I'm gonna, just for now, just so we can see what's happening, I'm gonna precede this with I'm gonna call this development.terraform just for now, so that we can deploy some of this stuff really quick and start to see what's happening here. Okay, so development.terraform, this is for the development one, and I'm gonna save this, and I'm actually going to recopy these. So I'm gonna again copy. Let's rerun our copies. And the staging. So now production and staging, all we got to do is vim production and staging really quick, and we can check to see if these work in the way that we want them to work. How do I refresh this? There we go. And So production is going to be, we're going to change development to production. Let's also change this to a T3 medium, just to, so we can see how it changes. And let's also change stagings, and let's change that to the staging, and we'll leave that as a, let's make this T3 small so we can just see that there's a difference between them. Staging.terraform, we'll save that. We also need to change this to var dot instance type. Okay, that's looking good. And we need to change this to var dot what do we call this, instance name. Yeah, all right, var dot instance name. So we got a couple different things here. I'm guessing you can use lists in these. Yes, yep, you can absolutely use lists in there. 100%. There's a couple different things you can do. You can do maps. You can do, there's a couple of different things you can do. A couple different data types that you can set up there. So again, very simple. We're still keeping it very simple with an instance like this. But now what we can do is we can save this. We can confirm that it's still working real quick. How do we confirm that it's still working? We try to apply this to what we already have deployed. So we have one deployed, and it's actually going to change. All right, we locals.tf. I thought we deleted that. We plan it. Failed to read variables file. Oh, this one doesn't exist because we changed the name. We call this development. Yeah, 100%. Var instance name and resource conduit web server, an input variable with, oh, okay, so we actually missed a big piece here. It says, hey, an input variable with instance name has not been declared. All right, remember, when you think of the word declare, that's, you know, setting up the space for this variable to be used, and we didn't declare these things. We skipped right over to giving them values, and so what we did skip, we need to add these variables all to the variables.tf file. And so just so we can see them, let's go ahead and open up this right next to it. And so we need to specify the rest of these. So let's copy this, make it easy on ourselves, yank it, and paste, paste, paste. The 4 items. Let's see. So instead of key pair, we want instance AMI. Whoops. Our instance AMI, I'll do it there. And instance size. I try to keep them in the same order. It's a little bit easier when you're kind of working through things to keep them in the same order for me personally, but feel free. The order does not matter. You just have to have them all in here. So all of these things are strings, so we can just set it up just like this. Now save it, just so y'all can see kind of what a format will do. Let's do something like this. And when I save it, I actually have it set up in my Vim RC to automatically run a Terraform format. And so it goes ahead and it, you know, moves those things into the right direction and lines them up. I never used to do this. Terraform is what had me start doing this, and I couldn't figure out in my mind why I never did this for things. This makes lining it up by the equal sign makes everything so much better, like so much better. I don't know why I never did that before. Seems like such a simple thing to do, but yeah. So now what we will see is when we see this, it should actually have a change. And the change that it should have is going to be that instance name. Given variables, file variables. Oh, whoops. Got to give it the default, the development one. Let's see. An input variable with the name instance type has not been declared. So that means that we did not do something right. And we can see over on the side, oh, it's instance size and not instance type. So let's go ahead and correct that. Where are we? Are we at the bottom of the top? Let's move back up. Which file do we want? We want the variables. No. This is the main. Main.tf. The problem is line 20. This is not a thing. It is instance size instead of type. That's the name of the variable. All right. And let's do another plan. Maybe we got things right. Okay, it looks like we got some stuff right. It should change one thing. And one change has been made, and you can look through to see exactly what the change is. And this is the biggest, most amazing piece of infrastructure as code, specifically Terraform, because this is not something that's available to you for all tools that do provisioning. But we can see exactly what's going to change, which is going to be this name tag, and it's going to change from qa.pipelines to media, and it's going to change to development.terraform. And so the tags here are just a little bit of metadata, so it doesn't need to spin the server down to destroy anything. It's going to be a quick change. It's going to take no time. And so then we can go ahead and we can apply this. Terraform Apply. Oops. I get this error on development line 4. It's the same development Terraform. Our block definition must have block content delimited by. So that sounds like before I apply this, it sounds like you are missing it sounds like you're missing the curly braces on the actual in the main.tf. So I don't know if you were copying this main.tf, but it sounds like you're missing the curly braces right here at the bottom and the top, or somewhere in here. It seems like you're missing some curly braces. The same line as the block header. Yeah, it seems like you're missing some curly braces somewhere. And I can push this code in a little bit, even before we finish, if you need to steal this. We'll go back down and we'll run it. It did give us some good output here. And it says, hey, I'm gonna make the change. I'm gonna say, go ahead and make that change. And when we check this out over here, we do in fact have a new instance. So this was here before. And if we do it again, that's actually terminated. But now we have development.terraform. So we still have development.pipelines.media, but we do have development.terraform. That's the one we just created. And so we could use this to go ahead and check the other two really quick. So, we could change this to staging. And what I think one of the problems is what I'm doing now is one of the problems, one of the things that kind of sucks about doing it this way. One to change. Okay. Sorry, I actually did this incorrectly. This will not do. I forgot about a piece. This will not do what I want it to do, and it won't do what I want. It won't do this because I have this set up in a way. There are other things you have to add to this, and we can go through it. We have to. I was trying to do it in the easiest way. I wasn't really thinking that deep into it. So what's happening right now is I'm using a different variables file. And because I'm using a different variables file, it's still in reference to the exact same resource. So the resource that exists in the state still works, but I'm giving it different variables. And so all it's gonna do is it's gonna make a change to that same thing rather than spinning up the appropriate instances for me. And so the way that this works, is you can do this in a couple different ways as well. I've seen this done in some interesting ways. The easiest way is probably to just make the name of the resource itself. You make this a string value. So I would say something like conduit web server, Conduit underscore web server, actually. And then I think I would, I don't think I need this here. I think I need underscore $. I may not be doing this properly. I'll check this out in a second. Maybe it's variable dot environment. So maybe we'll set up an environment. Enviro. That's exciting. I like to make my stuff a little bit weird, for no reason at all. Where'd the O go? Enviro. And so I think this is going to, what's it called? Not concatenation. What is it called when you read the variable inside of the string? It starts with an I think. My mind is blanking right now. This is how you interpolate. Man, I was struggling there for a second. Wow. This is how you interpolate the variable. Thank you, unique ID. Yes, this is how we interpolate the variable. I think, again, I don't memorize syntax. I think this is how you do it. We'll check it if it's wrong. And then we'll just set up another variable called enviro, which would be for the environment in each of these things. This is probably the simplest way. There are a few other ways to do this as well. There's some ways to do this, again, with lists. If you want to specify, so I could also make I could make a list of the server names. One of the variables could be a list of the server names, and then we could kind of loop through them or choose where they are in the array, choose their location. So there's a couple different ways you can do it, but I think this is the easiest way. And we'll save this. And no, that is not how you do it. Line 18. Let's see. Let's look up how you interpolate variables in Terraform. We're learning how to, so Rotary Pot, hello. We are not building an API. We are learning how to perform infrastructure as code. We're learning how to codify from scratch some infrastructure that we had already been manually working on, some reference infrastructure, and we're learning how to codify it. We are doing it in a very, we're doing it at a very conservative pace. We're not gonna go, to level 10, but yeah. We're not going to level 10, but it is, we're starting out here. So let's see, Terraform, interpolation. Nope. Interpolation and count. Oh. Var. Account index, but what if I want it to be, okay, so I just put the dot. Got it. Oh no, that's what I did. That's what I did, but it says it didn't like that. What's up? Let's see who just followed. Rotary Pat, thank you so much for the follow. It is so good to see you, so good to have you. Thank you so much. I believe interpolation does not work for resource names. Okay. Multiple stages could be different directories per environment. Yeah. Using Terraform Workspaces. Yeah, that's what we talked about a little bit ago about some of the different options. Yeah, I think different directories is super whack for a number of reasons. Mostly that you now have to manage multiple of the same resources, but just for different environments. No problem. So we can also do this. If we want to keep the same paradigm, we could, I think, do this. I think you can specify for the resource names. I think you can specify like array values. I think. Let me see. Let's actually just look up some stuff. Terraform interpolate resource name. Let's see what our options are. Dynamic resource naming. Okay, yeah, we could just use, we could use workspace. See, the problem is if we set up workspaces, then I'm also going to want to set up locals, and I was trying to keep it as simple as possible. But I guess that's fine. We could definitely just do workspace. not a problem. So if you go to multiple directories, you can pull the resources inside a module and reference the module inside each stage folder. Huh, okay. So inside of a module, so we can definitely do that and reference the module. Oh, okay, then that does give us the same. Huh, interesting. That's, you know what's funny? If I had thought about that for 10 seconds, I would have done it. But when I first started learning Terraform, where I was learning it from, that was not, and I actually wonder when Terraform modules was the thing. I wonder if modules was a thing from the very beginning, because that was one of the issues. That makes perfect sense. Like, that makes 100% sense. But again, I don't usually do it that way. I usually do it using Workspaces. I think Workspaces is the I would recommend to be the way to go. But I do like the folders approach right now, only because I think it's going to, I think the folders approach is going to make a little more sense, because you can visually see everything, whereas with Workspaces you can't quite visually see everything. If you were to come grab this, you know, it would be a little bit weird. You'd have to manually create things yourself, but pretty interesting. Right now I'm not using Hyper. This is actually Windows. When I'm on Linux, I'm using Hyper, but right now I'm using Windows Terminal for this. All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's do the different folders, and let's make the whole thing a module, I guess. This is going to, see, this is what happens when you try to cut corners as well. I was like, all right, I'll try to keep it. I mean, I guess realistically, modules and things make it a little bit easier. But again, I just think that for something that we're doing now, with like, the goal is not to learn Terraform. I think that looking at it makes it a little more complicated and a little more hard to follow. But yeah. But if you have multiple EC2 instances from the same directory, we would have the problem we are now. No, we would not. So no, we wouldn't. But so that's actually very interesting. That's actually also a very interesting thing. But what it would mean that we'd have to deploy all three. That's very interesting. That is. It's interesting because we would also have to change the name of our variables. Like, we could do this. Don't do this. This is not a way to do things. But you could do. I think from your question, I think this is what you're kind of saying, is that instead have multiple of these instances. So we'd have 3 of these. And each with their own name. So like production conduit. But this is where you're kind of losing a lot of the reusability of the template, because you're essentially going to end up still having to, you're not gonna have to hard code, but there's still going to be multiple places to make a change. And so like development, but then you'd have to again change all of these things. Now you could hard code these things. That's not wrong. It's not a wrong way to do things. It just makes the management of it a little bit different. But this would work. This would work 100%. But it would also mean that either they would all be deployed at the same time, or you'd have to specify a specific resource to deploy, which I don't recommend doing. And these all have to go out together, which is also might be fine for your use case. This could work just fine. So that's very interesting. Right, as of right now, like set it up like this without changing the variables, it would basically make 3 of the same servers with different, just managed in different pieces of the state. But yeah, you could do that. But not really what I would recommend. You want to set up 2 servers in prod, but you couldn't do it dynamically. Oh, if you wanted to, nah. So if you wanted to dynamically change the resource name, actually, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Let me show you that real quick. So I think this was just conduit web server. The way that you could dynamically change the resource name is you could do something like count. You have a count value, and account, I can say I want 3 of these servers, and this would specify 3 of these servers for me. To dynamically change the name, we'd have to do, we basically have to put all of these names in an, I mean, actually, I think we can make, actually, I was gonna do it in a list elsewhere, but we may be able to do them right here. I've never thought about doing them right here. But you can dynamically, like it acts as an array, and it'll go 0, 1, 2, and like basically, essentially, you would end up making a list like this, and you know, name 2, and you know, name 3. And then you'd have to tell Terraform to iterate over this. And let me see. Terraform count items and list. There we go. So it does have the length function, but that's not, I don't think that's what we need. Elements might be what we need. And it might be something like this. I haven't done this in a while. Finds the index. It may be something like this. So let me see. Terraform. Let's see. I'm going to be very specific here. EC2 server count list. This might help. A bit of a long shot, but do we have any experience with connecting Spark cluster database? I do not. No. Let's say Spark. We want to use Spark for SQL to query from a DB of mine. No, I don't know anything about Spark, to be honest. Almost nothing. Yeah. So here's what we're gonna want right here. So this is how you can be dynamic. So I can set up the count like this, and then I can use this count.index. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Count.index +1. That seems a little interesting, but that's fine. So I'm gonna a little bit larger to see what it looks like. So they're setting up a count right here, and again, that count just allows it to create however many you said here. Oh, because it'll start out at 0, but I think you want that's fine. But it's saying, hey, go through these and set some stuff up. So it's basically gonna make it oh, this is gonna be a number. That's why, because they want the actual number itself. And so they're gonna name it like that. You can also do a list of names instead. You can actually iterate through a list of names rather than assigning it a dynamic thing here. And it is using element. It's using element here. And so let's actually do that really fast. And see if we can get that running. I just realized what time it was. Because it is a very interesting piece of Terraform. So again, Terraform has some functions inside of it, has some ways for you to do things. And so I can say, instead of instance tag, I'll make a variable called instance tags, and I'll make 3 of them really quick. Oops. Whoa, what is this? What are we doing? I can't even control C out of this. I don't know what's happening. Oh, okay, there we go. Count 3 element. It didn't like that. All right, let's see. Line 25 element web server. The character is not used within the language. This character is not used within the language. I wonder if there's a copy and paste problem. Expected resource AWS instance web server. It is not like that line at all. No problem. Oh, I think this all has to be in quotes. There we go. See, there we go. So I'm gonna go back up here, and this is where I should have been typing anyway, because now I've confused myself. And let's close everything. Let's close all this. And so let's open main.tf back up. What did I just add? I just added in here this element that's going to loop through the elements, and we have a count of 3. So I'm going to go back over here into the variables.tf really quick, and we call this instance underscore tag. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a variable underscore tags. And what we're gonna do is this is going to be a type of a list. And again, I don't know if I have to call it strings or whatnot, but I can set a default value. And I'm gonna set the default value equal to, again, let's call this Terraform. Let's call this development. Terraform. This is very interesting. Staging. All right, I'm getting better on this keyboard. I really am, but still really weird. Production dot Terraform. All right, and close this. All right, so we have this, and it's a default, so I don't need to define the value anywhere else. And save that. So now, if I go back down to the bottom, and if I try to apply this or plan it, I'm gonna run the last plan we ran. Run plan dash var file, the dash var file. There we go. Equals. I guess it doesn't even matter which one I use now. All right, so this is gonna work, but check this out. It's gonna add to oh, because I give it the same name, so it's gonna add to. So see how it's gonna add production Terraform. It's also gonna add staging Terraform, and development already exists, so it does work. But that's kind of how you iterate through these things. So yes, this would work. I mean, this works. The problem is this doesn't solve our problem. I really just want to go through that to just kind of show some of the dynamicness of these provisioning tools and of infrastructure as code tools, because it will allow you to do these things really quickly and easily, and without having to, usually when people start out doing these things, your instinct is to do exactly what we kind of talked about before, and at least that was my instinct. At least maybe y'all are fancier than me, but my instinct was to go right into here and manually define everything that I wanted. I went in and I manually created a resource for every single thing that I wanted, but where the power of these tools really comes in is like this right here, where you can dynamically do things, create values, pick values, and things like that. Yeah. For now, I'm going to use BigQuery plugin that Google has. Works pretty well. So hold on. First off, what is Spark? Apache Spark. What is this? I know of the tool, but I don't know what it's for. Open source distributed general purpose cluster computing framework. Oh. Ooh, excuse me. Huh. Unified analytics engine for large. Interesting. So I am in 2021, like the thing that I want to get into is like, machine learning and AI and big data, really understanding like the data is like, you gotta, I feel like if you want to be really good at machine learning and AI, you really gotta understand the data as well. So this is very interesting to me, just from the, I know some stuff for sure already, but I am definitely a noob when it comes to this stuff. So this is pretty interesting being introduced to this. Paralyzes your data structures. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's really nice, actually. Huh. All right. So I, like, because of my efforts to but to start exploring kind of the machine learning, AI, and big data stuff. That's enough. Like, I'm actually going to be significantly, my computer's already pretty powerful, but I'm actually going to be significantly upgrading it. I was gonna get that 3090 anyway, but I'm definitely gonna get that 3090 now for sure. And I might even, I don't know if I can pull it off. I might even wait to see what these Ryzen 5 Threadrippers look like. Might have to, you know, might have to go super fancy here so I can do cool stuff. Let me check that out over. Oh, actually, I do have a link right here. Okay, yep. The map reduce. It's a string in a lowercase. Multiple string, RDD consists of a lowercase list of words in that string. Oh, interesting. And so this is, oh, Scala. Okay. Interesting. It's pretty cool. I'll definitely check it out for sure. I'll definitely be checking that out. Okay. So we did not make it really very far this evening. That is my fault for fighting with my camera, and probably because I didn't want to deal with workspaces. But what I will show you first really quick, just to show you what we're gonna do on Monday. What was today? Is it Wednesday? Yeah, what we'll do on Monday. Monday we need to start getting into the Ansible piece of this. Now, like I said before, we could completely do everything that we could do this whole thing without using Ansible. But I think it's important for us to understand the provisioning versus the configuration management. And so we'll get into that on Monday. But let me talk to you about workspaces really quick. Just so you, again, this paradigm also kind of lives across many of the provisioners as well. And so Terraform has this paradigm called workspace, and I don't have any right now. We just have this default one. We only have defaults, so we could create a new workspace, new, and call it development. All right, and so check this out. It says you're now running on a new empty workspaces, and workspaces specifically isolate state. Now I want to be very clear about this because people have been very confused about this in the past. This does not give you, this is not like Git, and it does not give you a new code base where now you're operating like, it's not a branch. Some people see this as a branch. No, it's not a branch. Like this code still is exactly the same. Nothing changed about this code, but it's specifically about the state. And remember, the state is what keeps track of what's going on. It has the way that the application exists at any point in time. And so, you know, whenever the state is very, very important, that's what these state files are right here. And every time you run that plan, the way that it knows what it needs to change is because it's checking, you know, it's checking the code that you have, and then it's checking against the current state of the infrastructure. And it says, hey, I see that this thing is here, and you know there's some differences between what you've asked for in your configuration, the things that you've declared, and what's in the state is different. And now I can more easily find the delta in between them, and I can tell you exactly what's going to change. And so that is great. But this is what it isolates. It isolates the state. So if I run a plan again, Terraform will not see any of the existing state for this configuration. And so now, because I just ran a plan, let's run a plan with the var file equals development dot tfvars. It'll run it, and it'll see that, hey, I need to do three things. So you could do this you could do the state and then pass in these tfvars file. That works. That is not the way that I would do it, and I don't know that's the way that we should do it. And so what I think I'll do is I think that we'll take the first 20 minutes. I think we'll take the first 20 minutes on Monday, what we'll do is we don't really need, so the infrastructure piece of this is actually pretty small, because we're going to be using Ansible to set the servers up. All we need, like, so yes, we could set up, you know, networks and everything else. All we really need here are 3 EC2 instances, one for each environment, and with a security group that allows us to access it. We will need to add some DNS stuff, but the DNS stuff can come a little bit later. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the first 20 minutes super quickly. Next time we'll run straight through, and we will have the infrastructure in a place where we can start like utilizing it pretty easily. We will use the workspace stuff, but again, I find that last time I tried to teach, this is where I'm coming from with this. I did a side Terraform course. I did a Terraform course to a smaller group of people, and man, state really threw people off, like really threw people off. Not state, workspaces, like in understanding like how, like it really threw people off. I was really surprised about it, but then I kind of stepped back and I understood. So I was trying to avoid using workspaces, but workspaces is how you do it. So I guess, you know, that was a Terraform course, so we had to teach it, and I figured I could skip it here because it's not a Terraform course. But that's what we'll do. We'll knock it out because again, we need to know the concept, and I think we can still talk about the concepts of it. Ansible, we'll be writing a lot of Ansible code, because what do we have to do with Ansible? Make sure the services are updated. We got to make sure that Docker gets installed, make sure the Docker is running. We got some files and stuff we need to put in place on the server as well. We actually have to containerize some things first, as well. Some other things that we're going to try to add into the stack. Then we got to, configure Ansible to deploy, containers set up certain ways. And so that should be pretty fun, I guess. Hopefully we can run through that pretty easily without having to, as much as I love my headshot over here, I think it's better when you can see my face. So I gotta figure out how to do that for sure. CloudFormation, you are almost flying blind until you crash. That is exactly how it should be described until the end of time. That's exactly what it's like. You are absolutely flying blind. You just have to, like, honestly, CloudFormation, you can work with change tests and stuff, but you basically have to write the code and deploy it and hope it works. That's really how it kind of works. But that's it for tonight. I gotta figure out my computer situation. This has been the most frustrating thing, especially because Monday started out as the most productive day I've had of 2020. Monday was my most productive day ever. Like it was phenomenal, followed up by my least productive day on Tuesday because everything broke. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry things were a little helter-skelter today, but all good. I'm gonna get into a good place. Like I said, I'll even move it to my laptop if I need to. If I do, I'll have to change some stuff around. But yeah, I gotta figure out what's going on with my camera now because we were almost back. We were almost there. And hopefully I can get done before tomorrow. So if you're interested in learning a little bit about coding, tomorrow is Decoded. We were supposed to pick up on searching algorithms this week. So tomorrow specifically, we'll be focusing on trees, and we'll be working through problems with binary trees. We'll learn how to implement binary trees. You've already learned how to do some searching with linear data structures. We're going to learn how to do search. We'll cover that again just to make sure people do understand the concept of searching for things in linear data structures, but then we will also do that in non-linear data structures. We'll learn how to balance trees and all that other stuff. So that is what we'll be doing tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, come on through and check it out. But who are we going to raid this evening? Let's see who's online. Let's pull this over. Whoa, that scared me. Who's online today? Let's see, we got anybody? Callo's on. Cool, whatever, and we'll say hello to Callo because Callo has been he's been having some fun in here, helping us out. So we will raid Callo this evening. But thank you, everyone. I'm gonna go work out these issues with all of my stuff going on right now. Let's all say hello to Callo. We'll be back tomorrow. Computer willing, we'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we have everything all good and ready. Let's see, Callo creation. We spelled it right first try. So now we are out of here in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. My name is Idris Elba, and we are headed on to Callow's channel. Say hello.